It was a gray afternoon in early autumn when the woman first appeared at our doorstep. She wore a navy blue coat, her hair tucked neatly into a bun, and a small leather bag hung over her shoulder. She wasn't exactly young, but there was something graceful, almost timeless, about her presence. "Mrs. Carter?" she asked softly, her voice steady but kind. "Yes," I replied, trying to mask my exhaustion. "You must be Evelyn." She smiled. It was a kind of smile that felt deliberate, warm but reserved, as though she had learned exactly how much kindness to offer without revealing too much of herself. Our nanny agency had sent her only a day earlier, after weeks of searching. My husband, Daniel, and I had been desperate for help. Our 5-year-old daughter, Lily, had grown distant after the accident that took my mother. She refused to sleep alone, woke screaming in the night, and flinched whenever Daniel tried to comfort her. I didn't blame her. We were all still healing. Evelyn stepped into the house quietly, her eyes scanning every detail. The hallway mirror, the coat rack, the family photos along the stairs. It wasn't the curious glance of a stranger. It was more like someone recognizing something they'd once known. "Your home is beautiful," she said, setting her bag down gently. "Thank you," I murmured. "Would you like some tea before you meet Lily?" "That would be lovely." As I prepared tea, I watched her from the kitchen doorway. She moved slowly, gracefully, running a finger along the frame of Lily's school photo. For a moment, her expression softened, then changed, almost imperceptibly, to something unreadable. That evening, Evelyn met Lily. Our daughter was curled up on the couch, clutching her worn-out teddy bear. Evelyn knelt beside her, speaking in that same calm voice that had filled our hallway earlier. "Hello, Lily. I've heard you love stories." Lily nodded shyly. "Would you like to hear one?" Without waiting for my approval, Evelyn began to tell a story about a lost bird searching for it home. Her tone was low, melodic, and within minutes, Lily's eyelids grew heavy. By the time Evelyn reached the end, Lily was asleep, her tiny hand resting on Evelyn's knee. I stood frozen in the doorway. It had been months since Lily had fallen asleep without crying. When I whispered, "Thank you," Evelyn only smiled again, that same measured smile, and whispered, "Children sense safety. You just have to show them where it lives." Over the next few weeks, Evelyn became part of our daily rhythm. She arrived each morning before sunrise, often humming softly in the kitchen as she packed Lily's lunch. The smell of cinnamon and chamomile seemed to follow her everywhere. She taught Lily how to braid her hair, how to fold paper swans, how to listen to the wind before the rain. Even Daniel, usually reserved and focused on his work, began to speak more when Evelyn was around. But something about her unsettled me. She never talked about herself. No family, no friends, no stories of where she'd lived before. Her references from the agency checked out, but they were vague. Dependable, compassionate, quiet. Nothing more. And then there were the little things. The way she sometimes called Lily Rose. The way she flinched whenever the grandfather clock struck midnight. And one night, when I couldn't sleep, I found her standing in the living room, her hand resting gently on the window, staring out into the dark. When I asked what she was doing, she said, "Just making sure the house remembers it's protected." A few days later, I found something strange in Lily's room. Under her pillow lay a small silver locket. Inside was a picture of a little girl. Brown hair, blue eyes, and a face hauntingly similar to Lily's. On the opposite side, an inscription, "For my dearest Rose." I called Evelyn into the room. "Did you leave this here?" She looked at the locket for a long moment before replying, "It must have been Lily's toy." But Lily shook her head. She gave it to me. She said it belonged to her daughter. My breath caught. "Your daughter?" Evelyn's expression didn't change. "You must have misheard her." That night, Daniel brushed off my worries. "She's been amazing with Lily," he said. "Don't overthink it." But I couldn't let it go. The next morning, while Evelyn took Lily to the park, I called the agency again. The woman who answered sounded puzzled when I mentioned Evelyn's name. "Evelyn Hart?" she repeated. "Yes. You sent her 3 weeks ago." There was a long pause. "Mrs. Carter, there must be a mistake. We don't have anyone by that name in our system." My stomach dropped. That's impossible. She came through your agency. I'm sorry, but we've never had an Evelyn Hart on record. I hung up and stared at the phone, my mind racing. If she wasn't from the agency, who was she? When they returned from the park that afternoon, Evelyn seemed calm as ever. She helped Lily out of her coat, washed her hands, and began preparing dinner. I stood silently in the doorway, watching her every move. Finally, I asked, "Evelyn, where did you say you worked before this?" She paused, then smiled faintly. "I've cared for many families, Mrs. Carter. Each one stays with me in some way." "And your daughter?" I pressed. Lily said. Her expression shifted for the first time. Children imagine things. But her voice trembled, just slightly. That night, I couldn't sleep again. The house felt too quiet, too still. I got up, walking down the hall toward Lily's room. The door was ajar, and I could hear Evelyn's voice, soft, almost like a lullaby. "She has your eyes, Rose," she whispered. "Your same smile, but this time I'll keep her safe. I promise." I froze. When I pushed the door open, Evelyn turned, startled. Her face was pale, her eyes glassy with unshed tears. "I was just checking on her," she said quickly, but I had heard enough. I took Lily into my arms and backed away. "Evelyn, I think it's best if you leave. Tonight." She didn't argue. She only looked at me with something between sorrow and relief. "You don't understand," she murmured. "I was meant to protect her." Then she walked out into the cold night, her footsteps fading into silence. The next morning, the house felt different. Hollow. Lily woke asking for Evelyn, her small voice breaking my heart. When I opened the front door to get the newspaper, something caught my eye, a photograph taped to the porch railing. It was old, weathered, and grainy. A family of 3. A woman, Evelyn. A man I didn't recognize. And a little girl with Lily's exact face. I stared at the old photograph until my fingers began to shake. Evelyn stood in the picture, younger but unmistakably her. The same sharp eyes softened by quiet sorrow. Beside her was a man, his arm around her shoulders, and a small girl in front. That little girl, she looked like Lily. Not similar, identical. My breath hitched. The curls, the dimple in her cheek, even the tiny birthmark near her left eyebrow. It was as if the photograph had captured my daughter years before she was even born. I stumbled inside and called Daniel. He came rushing downstairs, half-dressed, eyes groggy with sleep. "What is it?" he asked, and I thrust the photo toward him. His brow furrowed. "Who are these people?" "That's Evelyn," I whispered. "And that girl, Daniel, look at her. It's Lily. It's her." He stared for a long time, then shook his head slowly. "It's a coincidence. Kids look alike sometimes." But his voice lacked conviction. Later that day, I drove to the address printed faintly on the back of the photograph. It was only a few miles away on the edge of town, a narrow street lined with decaying houses and whispering trees. The number was faded on the door, but it matched. No one answered when I knocked, so I circled around back. The yard was overgrown, littered with old toys, and the faint remains of a swing set swaying in the wind. Through a cracked window, I saw dusty furniture, children's drawings pinned to peeling wallpaper, and a broken picture frame on the floor. I pushed the door open. It creaked like something breathing its last. Inside, the air smelled of abandonment and memories too heavy to carry. On a small table by the stairs lay a stack of yellowed newspapers. The top one caught my eye. "Local child found dead after car crash. Mother in critical condition." The date was from 6 years ago. The photo beneath the headline showed Evelyn, barely recognizable, being carried into an ambulance. I read every word, heart pounding. Her daughter, Rose Hart, age 5, had died instantly when a drunk driver veered off the road. Evelyn had survived but was hospitalized for months. Witnesses said she'd been found clutching her daughter's locket, the same silver one I'd found under Lily's pillow. My knees went weak. Evelyn hadn't just cared for Lily. She had seen Rose in her. I drove home in silence, my mind a storm of guilt and fear. Every memory of Evelyn now shimmered with new meaning. The lullabies, the locket, the way she called Lily Rose. When I arrived, Daniel was waiting by the window. He'd already spoken to the police. They said she has no criminal record, he said. But there's no trace of where she went after leaving last night. Lily was upstairs, drawing quietly. When I asked what she was working on, she smiled. It's me and Evelyn, she said, showing me a crayon sketch. The two figures held hands under a sun. She said she'd visit soon. She promised. I forced a smile, but my stomach turned. She might not be coming back. Sweetheart. Lily tilted her head, but she already did. That night, I couldn't shake the unease. The wind howled outside, the house creaked, and somewhere in the distance, a child laughed, a sound so faint it could have been my imagination. I got up to check the doors and windows. Everything was locked, but when I entered Lily's room, I froze. The window was open, and on her nightstand beside her lamp sat the locket, clean polished as though newly placed. Daniel, I called, my voice trembling. He came running, eyes widening at the sight. How did that get here? I shook my head. I put away. I swear I did. He picked it up carefully. This is unnerving. The next morning, Lily was gone. Panic hit like a wave. The front door was still locked, her shoes still by the mat. We searched every room, the backyard, even the neighbors' yards. Nothing. I called the police, my hands trembling so violently I nearly dropped the phone. They began searching immediately. Hours passed. The house filled with the sound of radio chatter and footsteps. Officers combed the wood behind our home, calling her name again and again. At dusk, an officer approached with a grave expression. We found something, he said, holding up a small object wrapped in cloth. It was Lily's hair ribbon, and beside it, bare footprints leading toward the old footpath that ran to the outskirts of town, the same direction as Evelyn's last known address. Daniel and I drove there with the police. The house looked even darker now, swallowed by twilight. Inside, it was colder than before, the air heavy with dust and echoes. Evelyn, I called out, please, where's my daughter? Silence. Then, from upstairs came a sound, a faint hum, a lullaby. My heart dropped. It was the same tune Evelyn used to sing at bedtime. We ran up the stairs. The second-floor door was half open, and in the dim light, I saw Lily, sleeping peacefully in Evelyn's lap. Evelyn was rocking gently in a chair, her eyes closed, whispering softly. She's safe now, she murmured. I promised Rose I'd protect her. Evelyn. I cried. Please, she's not Rose. You need to let her go. Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. You don't understand. The driver, he took everything. My little girl, she was all I had. And when I saw Lily, I thought maybe I'd been given another chance. The police moved closer, speaking softly. Evelyn didn't resist. She only placed one last kiss on Lily's forehead before standing. She has your kindness, she whispered to me. Don't let the world take it from her. They led her away gently, her sobs breaking the silence as the door closed behind her. Weeks passed before the house felt normal again. Lily recovered quickly. Children are resilient in ways we aren't. But sometimes I'd catch her sitting by the window, humming that same lullaby under her breath. When I asked where she'd heard it, she'd smile. Evelyn sings it when I dream. I tried to brush it off as imagination, but deep down, I wasn't sure. Months later, we received a letter. No return address, but I knew the handwriting instantly. Mrs. Carter. It began, I wanted to thank you for allowing me to love her, even for a little while. I've begun my treatment now, and though the days are long, the dreams are kind. Rose comes often. She forgave me. Please tell Lily I'm proud of her. Tell her she reminds me that love doesn't end. It changes form. Signed simply, Evelyn. I read that letter 100 times. Sometimes with tears, sometimes with strange, quiet peace. That night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me and whispered, Mommy, did you know Evelyn's happy now? She told me she found Rose. I froze. When did she tell you that? In my dream, Lily said, yawning softly. They were together in a garden. They waved. I kissed her forehead and turned off the light. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel fear, just an ache that was somehow gentle. Outside, the wind brushed against the windows. The house seemed to breathe again, calm and still. And from somewhere unseen, soft, distant, and full of love, came the faint echo of Evelyn's lullaby.